Hello, fellow travelers. At the beginning of this year, I went to Switzerland, the Ghibli version of Germany. I went there not because I love chocolate or they have these ridiculously huge mountains. I went there because there is a town where they used to throw women into the river. Follow me to Basel. Basel is a weird town. Unlike the rest of Switzerland, which is, in my simple mind, the country of chocolate, watches and chocolate, the Alps. Basel, on the other hand, is famous for a carnival and a ritual with a weird bird and a so-called wild man. To be fair, Basel is also famous for the art fair called Art Basel. Through this lovely town, with its pharmaceutical industry and an old town that is too cute to compute, flows the mighty river Rhine. The very same river which flows through my hometown, the city of Cologne. And of course the same river where St. Ursula encountered Attila the Hun. I leave a link in the description box below if you haven't watched the video yet. So, the Rhine. The Rhine is one of the most trafficked rivers in the world. It is so mighty and powerful that people, starting with the Romans, called him Father Rhine because, well, we all need a father figure. Smack in the middle of Basel is the Mittlere Brücke, the middle bridge. And on this bridge stands the Käppelijoch. Or if you pronounce it correctly in Swiss German, it sounds like this.
Käppelijoch.
Käppelijoch or
Käppelijoch
means roughly translated little chapel on a pillar. The chapel itself was first mentioned in 1392, when someone wrote down that 14 pounds were paid for the chapel. What exactly the 14 pounds were paid for, no one knows.
I want to see you two do things for this bag of money.
Back then, the chapel had a little balcony, and it was said that if you had a toothache, you should walk 3 times around the chapel for the pain to go away. But the chapel was not only a place where you went to if you had a toothache, it was also a place for punishment.
We have found the witch, may we burn her?
Sex workers and women suspected of witchery or magic were tied up and lowered down into the water. There they were dragged underneath the bridge 3 times. This was, of course, life-threatening. Also, everybody who died by suicide was thrown into the river. So they could not soil the holy earth of the Christian cemeteries. The dead bodies were put into barrels and thrown into the river Rhine. First and foremost, the Käppelijoch or
Käppelijoch
was the place for capital punishment for women. Criminal men were hung on the gallows, but this was not the preferred method for the ladies, because it was feared that spectators would be able to sneak a peek under the skirts of the women being punished. The honor of the female criminal or the delicate soul of the onlooker needed to be protected. For you can witness death with your own 2 eyes, but you cannot witness what lays underneath these skirts.
Exactly what did you have in mind, Mr. Corelli?
Females who were convicted, who got the death penalty, were not hanged but drowned. These women were tied up at the
Käppelijoch
and thrown over the bridge. Most women who were punished by this were found guilty of killing their newborns. Women who were suspected of being a witch, on the other hand, were burned at the stake. The stake was considered the harshest sentence. And they had a point, because it was possible to survive being thrown into the river. You see, to make it more up to God if this criminal should die or survive, the women were tied up with a pumped-up cow bladder in front of them, so they had a kind of air cushion with them when they were thrown into the river. And then her body drifted downstream, and when she passed a specific church, gravediggers fished it out of the water. And it was the duty of the gravedigger to cut the rope and try to resuscitate the woman. And if she didn't breathe, they just buried the body of the criminal. But if she did breathe, it was God's will that she should live and she was free to go on her merry way. And today the people of Basel swim in the river by choice. And it works like this. When the weather gets warm, you get undressed or you get dressed in your bathing suit, your swimming trunks, and you pack all your stuff in an especially designed waterproof bag called a Wickelfisch. And then you jump into the river Rhine and let yourself be carried downstream. And the river carries you downstream like the criminals in the Middle Ages, but you're not tied up, you swim for yourself. And then downstream, you get out of the river in one of the lovely sunbathing areas where they have showers and changing rooms and kiosks, and you get yourself something to drink or to eat or both. And you enjoy the lovely view onto the river, onto this lovely city. If all this sounds unreal to you, I agree. So I suggest you go and have a look for yourself. Go to Basel and enjoy the city. And I see you next time in a different place with a different story. Thank you very much.